Oh, it's all good. He shoots, he scores. Oh, Jeff, that rabble rouser, I'll tell you what. I can't. That's crazy. Crazy. Anyway, here we go. Go game go. We're back. We were here.
We're live again. There we go. Yep.
And now we're back. So here, there, now here again. You know what that calls for? A bloody drink. That's what that calls for. A little AC/DC again tonight, eh? Yeah. A little hard ale, hard cider, shall I say, to begin with. Smith Forge hard cider. Oh, little monster to keep. You're going to need that, Dan, because this is going to be boring as hell.
Oh, I can't wait.
Dan's tolerated me having a few beer before down at too many games.
Yeah, I stopped drinking 5 years ago, so now I got to tolerate everyone else being an idiot.
I have a feeling, Dan, that I wasn't the one who might have annoyed you the most.
And I have a feeling, that I could be an idiot without it. So, are you an AC/DC fan at all?
Yeah, of course.
Little flick of the switch.
Yep, solid record. I mean,
solid record. The first one, I think that was the first one by the Vanda brothers, I do believe. Mutt did For Those About to Rock, and then I think he was on to Def Leppard at that point.
Which worked out pretty well for him as well.
Yes, but it's my understanding that, who played a lot of the music on Hysteria, a lot of the guitar work?
Who was it?
Mike Slamer. You ever heard of him?
No, not familiar with him.
Okay. Before I go any further, we have to understand that tonight's going to be a little bit of a mashup. It's go game go, all go game go. Tonight, of course, as usual, but I have to say there'll be a little bit of music talk. So it's a little hammer away hybrid. It's a little, so it's just the way it's going to be. But anyway, tomorrow night we have the first hammer away interview, and Tommy Tallarico is going to be here tomorrow night. But for tonight, we have Dan O'Day, and from the Rebel Gaming Club.
Fearless leader.
That's me.
And from the River City Rebels as well. It's got a band and a show. Wait, like me. So I was doing some homework on you guys today. So I just want to try to figure out, I'm trying to figure out where to start. But to finish the AC/DC talk and the Def Leppard talk, Mike Slamer was in a band called City Boy. Do you remember City Boy at all?
No.
City Boy was a fantastic group, and they were produced by Mutt Lange, and Mike Slamer was a guitar player in that. In 1980, Steve Walsh left Kansas and then did his solo. He had his solo album, Schemer Dreamer, but then he put a band together called Streets, about which I was unaware when it came out. I had a girlfriend at the time who was doing part-time modeling work, and she was working at a car wash grand opening for a radio station. And she goes, here, this guy had all these extra records. And of course he gave them to the pretty girl, and she gave them to me. She's like, here, do you want these? I'm like, heck yeah, man, I'll take a look. So I took a look. One of them is called Streets. I'm like, what the hell is this? Really cheesy album cover. And I flip it over, and there's Steve Walsh. And in the band is Billy Greer, who now is in Kansas, been in Kansas for a long time on the bass. And also has a band called Seventh Key. And there's Mike Slamer, and their drummer was on the back. The drummer, I've never had he's probably somebody I really know now, but I don't remember who it was. But anyway, Mike Slamer was in Streets, but he had this relationship with Mutt Lange. Boom. Because those guys were really in no condition at that time to, which is why sometimes the album, when they play it live, doesn't sound exactly like the record.
That would make sense, yeah. I mean, those guys are good players too, so that's
They are good players, but do you remember? I mean, Steve wasn't in great shape at that time. He'd been doing a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs and whatnot, and trying to get that settled down into the studio.
Yeah, it was like a full year in the studio too, I do believe.
which is again why the Vanda brothers were coming in to do the, working with AC/DC to do the production stuff. So it's kind of crazy. But you guys, the River City Rebels, how many releases have you had? I have 6.
Yeah, 6 full-length records.
Okay.
2 EPs and some, a few live things, but yeah, 6 main albums.
Okay. So yeah, you started in 99 in Burlington, Vermont.
It says Burlington, Vermont, because that's like the biggest city to where I was located. But I'm like south of Burlington by an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
But since
attached to the closest big place, right?
They couldn't say White River Junction because no one would recognize that.
I don't know, man. Somebody'd be like, "We're on the map."
Right there.
There you go.
Where's that one fit into the mixture, Dan?
That is the 5th album.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And there's my bad. There's 7 albums.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because there's one.
Yeah, there is.
What I've got is you started in 99. In 2000, you have Racism, Religion, and War.
Yep.
Tell me just a skosh about that record. What were you saying on that record?
That was us pretty much right out of high school, and we got signed to a label, and we were just a bunch of punk kids trying to figure out how to do stuff, and it's very juvenile. It was a lot of anthems, but the politics and the views were all, so minimal. But at the same time, they got the point across. But yeah, we didn't know what we were doing at that point. I was leading the band and writing, like 50-60% of the songs, and I had no clue what I was doing. We just got really lucky when we got signed when we did.
And where did you record that?
That was recorded at the Outpost in Stoughton, Massachusetts, which was a place where the Dropkick Murphys recorded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Blood for Blood recorded. Mighty Mighty Boss Stones recorded there.
Oh.
So it was a lot of bands we loved. So that's why we chose to go to that studio.
How far away is that studio from where you were there in Vermont?
That was about a 2.5-hour drive, and we did that over like 3 weekends. We were making the commute daily.
Wow. Wow. In 2001, you guys had Playing to Live, Living to Play.
That's correct.
Tell me about that one.
That was I think we were kind of honing in what we were doing, more of our sound, how it was working. We also went to that same studio again, but I had during the recording, I had a falling out with the singer where I just didn't feel like he was giving it enough. So the engineer, once he was finished recording the record, he refused to mix it and deal with us anymore.
Oh, wow.
Which totally screwed us because it got sent to another place in Chicago when we weren't even present for it, and they mixed it, the label did, and released it, and it turned out all right, but unfortunately it's half the record it should have been. It should have been the album that really kind of put us out there and blew us up a little bit, but at that point it didn't. It did some good, but it wasn't what we expected.
Okay. All right. And then 2002, you had No Good, No Time, No Pride.
Yeah, that was the first record I kind of took over pretty much 100% songwriting duties. I started singing and fronting the band. Before then, I was just playing guitar and kind of writing. But at this point, I'd taken over 100%, and I was learning how to sing. We recorded that out in Orange County, California.
Wow. What happened there? How did you decide to go all the way?
Well, that studio was owned by a band called Pennywise. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which was a big, Southern California punk band. Mm-hmm. But they also recorded an album by one of our favorite bands called the U.S. Bombs. So one of our favorite albums by them was recorded there. So we decided we were going to drive straight from Massachusetts all the way to California in a straight shot to spend 2 weeks out in, Orange County. So,
oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, we drove 53 hours straight.
Well, I get that part. But how was it when you were there? Did you have lodging? What'd you do?
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky. We had the record label Victory Records was putting the bill up on all of this stuff. So we were
Cool.
We had, I think, a $10,000 budget on it, and spent 2 weeks out there and made a record that once again it was pretty good. It wasn't quite there yet, but it was another step forward for us.
Now, where's Victory Records located?
Chicago.
That's where they are. That's what you were talking about. Where that for the mix, the one went to Chicago.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so how did you get set up with?
What's that, Pete?
I just said pop that photo in there, Stu.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks. Sorry. I told him this is the first time me running the show, so there you go. So now this is what era is this?
This would have been like Keepsake of Luck touring era. So
yeah, so you're up to 2007.
That's a little bit later. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then let's see. So then how did you hook up with Victory in the first place?
Well, back in early '99, I had pretty much we recorded a 2-song demo on cassette, and I made 50 copies of it and sent it to every punk rock record label that was going.
Wow.
And we got 2 responses. One was from a small label out of Connecticut called Elevator Records.
Wow.
And then the other was Victory Records, which was one of the main labels that we wanted to get on, just because it was a lot of bands we enjoyed. Yeah. So the owner of Victory Records flew out to see us play in Vermont, which was the only place we could draw anyone, because we really hadn't played out. And I kind of lied to them. I told them that we were much larger than we were. Yeah. So we pretty much swindled the deal with them based on a show that the owner saw in Vermont, which was was a good show, but it was the only place we could do that.
So how did they feel about you when you had to switch when you had to switch the singer out, when you decided he's done and I'm taking it over? How were they about all that?
He was fine, because I was always the leader of the group. So pretty much I was the one that was in charge of everything. It was pretty much my vision of what was happening. So when he found that out, he's like, go for it. I believe in you.
That's cool.
There was no issue. And I was the third singer, actually, technically. The first album was one singer. The second album, different singer. Third album, I take over. So
wow. Well, hey to everybody. We want to make sure we say hello to everybody. Blake's out there tonight. Mike's out there. George is out there. Heracle's here. Who else we got?
Heracle. I haven't seen Heracle in there right on. Good to see him. Geeks with Cash.
Mike. Yeah, Geeks with Cash. Blake's here. Blake Brown says, hey. I just want to let you know that. He heartfeltly wanted me to tell you. He said, hey.
There's
Heracle. Heracle, we got good. And Pete, OEB Pete's here. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, good to see you guys. Yeah. What did this say earlier? What is this? Stu normally keeps track of the chat and posts to the screen. Is this not going to happen tonight? Thanks for saying that, George, because you really put me on track. I'll let you know that. He's
fantastic. Running the whole show tonight. He's got master control. I could pull a few things up for the show, but he's got to do it. So he's got it all in here. Man.
Well, that's cool. So we're in Orange County. You do that album, and how did that go? How'd the recording go there, as opposed to being back home in the home area?
It was awesome. It was, for us being that young, making that trip out there and kind of soaking it in for 2 weeks was a dream come true, really.
Yeah.
And the first night we were recording with our engineer, we went out to dinner with him, and he goes, we're outside in this patio eating, and goes, oh, that's fucking Don Dokken over there. You want to go say hi? I was like, yeah, I want to go say hi to Don Dokken.
Yes.
He goes, yeah. So that's how that experience started out there, and it was wonderful. I mean, he took us on a tour of Orange County in general, where Black Flag used to live and play, and So we learned a lot from him, and he was a great producer for us. Darian,
That's fantastic.
yeah. So
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a perfect time, really.
Any other? Now I met up with Don. How was Don when you met him?
He was having dinner, so it was a little awkward. Like, we didn't want to bother him. It was just like, hey, nice to to say hi to you face to face. But yeah, I didn't really mess with him other than
Right.
just to give a little nod.
Yeah, I one of my stories. I'll just share it now. I don't have to save everything, but it would normally, because I told you this is going to be a hybrid tonight. Plenty go game go and a little hybrid of Hammer Away. I got off the plane to go to the NAMM show. You ever been to the NAMM show?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
Speaking of Orange County, did you guys end up going to Disneyland while you were out there?
No, we had no money. Are you kidding me?
That's what I thought I'd ask. I'm like, well, the record company put you up. Maybe they sent you to Disneyland.
No.
Well, I went to, I headed out to the NAMM show. I got off the plane, and here, this tells you a little bit how long ago it was. As soon as I got off the plane, sitting in the seats as I got off the plane was Scott Ian from Anthrax, and looking at his BlackBerry, just texting away on his BlackBerry. So that was a few days ago, but it was really cool though. He was sitting there, and I just walked up. I go, "Hey Scott, how's it going?" Just nice and quiet. Didn't want to draw any attention.
And he's like, "You got to be subtle, You just got to in and out. You don't want to make it awkward." Right.
Yeah, and so he was cool though. I was like, "Hey, just wanted to say hey," and took him a second. He was like, "Boop boop 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 boop." Hey, and so it's really cool though. Yeah, Don was cool when I met him. I met him in Las Vegas many years ago when I did some T-shirt designs and stuff, and they sent me out there, and he was pretty cool. He was cool to talk to. I did a design for him, and I don't know how we ever finished that. So in 2004, 2 years. So it's just based on writing, touring, things you were doing that you had a 2 year, because there had been a year for each of the first three, and then we had a 2 year break before this next one.
Yeah, so we're talking Hate to Be Loved at this point.
Yes, that's right.
That we had moved into a house together. Actually, we rented a house, all of us. So there was 7 of us living in this fucking house, destroying it, just partying all the time, and every night we were working on this album. So we spent a full year in this house just fucking it up, flooding the place, anything you could do, running through walls.
Wait a minute. Bands don't do that.
No.
What, are you trying to be different?
I know it. So that's why there's this kind of a gap. We wanted to really, really make sure it was done right. And we had never all lived in a house together, so it was a different experience. But that is the album that kind of was like, all right, we've done it right this time. We spent so much time and effort and thought.
Right.
And then we went on top of that. We went and, made sure to get the right producer. So we looked into 2 producers. We were going to get either Cliff Williams from ACDC, because his daughter was a fan of the River City Rebels.
Wow.
Or the other option was Sylvain Sylvain of the New York Dolls. So we ended up getting Sylvain Sylvain from the Dolls and went to New York City to record in Lower East Side for 2 weeks.
How was that?
Oh, fucking as good as it could possibly. It was everything I wanted it to be. Still was drunk. He was inviting people over. So you get Frankie from Blondie would show up.
Shut up.
Yeah. So it was that kind of stuff. Like, Sill's having all his buddies come over. And he's getting drunk. We're all drunk. And we made this awesome album. And he was able to get guests on there that we wanted. We had Lisa Fisher, who sang backups for the Stones.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It was one of those moments in time. It all lined up to make this like perfect glam punk record that we wanted it to be. And the fact that he was part of it was just, icing on the cake. At the end of the 2-week period of recording, we did a live show in New York City. Yeah. And we brought him out and did a cover of Pills, which they'd also done, the Dolls.
Oh my God.
So it was really nice. And that was the record that kind of was like, all right, we've done well here.
Now, well, I'll get into that in a minute, but that, I guess that must have just blown your mind. Now, were you finding that you had like this whole new energy when that happened? I mean, the vibe, you came from a recording a California within a California vibe, and then you got in the house, you lived a punk life together in a house, and then wrote some stuff that you felt really good about. And the next thing you know, you're in a New York vibe, recording and hanging out with
Sylvain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, it was. But I mean, at that point, going into it, we had already kind of established ourselves as a a real good live band in New York City. So we were like pulling out a few hundred people at some of these clubs. Okay. So it was already kind of like we were in motion in that marketplace. So we felt very, very comfortable. Gotcha. And our saxophone player lived in the Lower East Side. His parents did. Okay. So we had already kind of had connections that way. So it wasn't all that weird vibe-wise because we were there all the time. I had a girlfriend that lived in the Bronx. So it was one of those things. I was there all the time. But it was magical to do it with Sylvain because he was
that's more my point is what with just the difference in the energy and because I've been to New York a few different times, mainly just in Manhattan, and it was limited. It wasn't, I wasn't all over Manhattan and hanging out for 2 weeks. I was there for a few days. My wife would go on business. And then for the last 3 or 4 times probably that she went, I went with her. And so she's in her conference all day and I'm walking around Manhattan, just having a ball, meeting people in Manny's, and just hanging out in bookstores, record stores. And then the one thing, I put 2 things together. Oddly enough, here we are talking about Orange County, and now we're talking about New York because out there at the NAMM show is where I met Conrad Korsch, who is the bass player for Rod Stewart. And he said, yeah, sometimes I fill in on some Broadway shows for the folks in the orchestra. And I'm like, well, far out. We love musicals and stuff. And he goes, well, yeah. And I was like, well, you know what? I go out there every year. I said, would you mind if I gave you a shout when I came out there? And he's like, not at all. Just go ahead. Here's my numbers and whatnot. Got a hold of him. And we did end up seeing Mamma Mia, which he was subbing for the bass player in that. And he kind of gave us a quick backstage look. But the uber cool thing was that he said, hey, I'm playing down at the Metropolitan Cafe on Tuesday night. If you guys are available, me and Anton Fig are going to be doing some jamming. We're going to do some jazz, blues, and we're going to have some other guys out there. So we're like, what? Yes, please. So we went and hung out. So New York has that like Nashville, Nashville, everybody's around and there's all kinds of musicians, and New York is that way. And I remember that a gentleman that night, I was introduced to this gentleman and he hands me a postcard and he's like, here, man, if you're going to be around this weekend. I'm like, dude, I am not going to be around this weekend. So how long were you in New York? Because that's like the latter part of that statement.
I mean, we were there constantly on and off. Like I mean, but as a band for that recording session, it was about a 2-week period.
Wow.
So it was the perfect time for him because you don't want to overdo it and overproduce it, but it was just enough time to make sure everything was done right. And and the other thing, I mean, there was people in the studio kind of rehearsing as well. So you had like Joan Jett rehearsing before we would go in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fucking Joan Jett. Then Sammy Yaffa from Hanoi Rocks was hanging out. It was just wow. For me, it didn't get any better. I cherish that time and moment.
Wow. That is amazing. I know that you've got a million stories. Well, maybe we'll do a hammer away time about Dan O'Day in New York in that was like 2003 when you were recording. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And doing that. So because I have to admit, I'm not schooled yet in all of your releases. So I got to figure out how I get those. And then am I going to hear a huge difference between 2002's No Good to Hate in 2004?
Yeah, Hate to Be Loved and No Good. All the records, actually, there's like a natural kind of progression that we were exploring just about every bit of music and bringing in different influences, really, as we were evolving as musicians on what we could do, what we wanted to create, and how much we could kind of push it.
Dan, would you say that it became less and less punk as it went along?
You could say less punk in the sense that it wasn't the stereotypical, like, distorted guitars, 3 chords, like, let's go as fast as we can. But in my view, I was like, we're doing shit that's more punk than anyone because we don't care what we're putting out. It's stuff that we want to do. And we were alienating our fans left and right. Every record would come out. The old fans would be like, fuck you guys. And then we made a whole new fan base for that new album. And then the next record, it would repeat the cycle. So
Isn't that what you're all supposed to do in punk anyway? Fuck you, man.
That's what I thought.
It's such a mix, though, right? I mean, I just remember this one, like 64-bit. We talked about him, right? When you sent me this,
yeah,
and I listened to it. I really, really liked it. And he likes the early stuff that you did better, right? Because he likes a little bit harder. Is that fair?
It is fair, but at the same time, to me, it's all rock and roll, and especially for that record right there. I mean, so after Hate to Be Loved came out, we essentially got dropped from our label because I called them up drunk one night, and I told them I was like, I'm over it, because we weren't selling what I thought we should, and they were pushing other bands ahead of us.
Oh yeah.
So I got us pretty much booted off the label, and for one drunken night. But we had built up a good following at that point, so I was like, we're going to find a label, no problem. Well,
this leads to the reason we don't have these on your end.
Yeah, so we had problems finding a label, because at that point, the Keepsake of Luck record that Pete has right there we had been working on it. It took us 3 years of writing to get that to where it is. We wanted to make our Exile on Main Street, essentially, is what that is. Or our London Calling. It was, we were throwing in every bit of influence. It's pretty much a double album. It's 72 minutes long.
Wow.
And on top of it, so what's that?
Did you ever put that out on vinyl?
It is, but it's a shortened version of it.
Oh, I was going to say, because you want to do a double vinyl.
I'd love, but we couldn't. The small label that picked up the vinyl could only afford to put one, so we condensed it. Yeah. But the thing was, so we couldn't find a label, because everyone that wanted to sign us wanted us to do what we had already done.
Yeah.
So, and we weren't doing that. We were already past that. So all these labels passed on us, and then we found a production company out of San Diego that signed us for a 1-record deal.
Silver Sprocket?
No. That was after. There was
okay, go ahead.
You won't see it mentioned anywhere, because it was a production company. They signed us in hopes of making this album and selling it to a major label.
Okay.
Which at that point, major labels weren't really buying albums, especially that type of album. So they end up putting up $80,000 to make that record for us, and we were in San Diego living for 2 months in a hotel. It was madness. Like we made, and the producer Andy Ackland was also produced like Bat Out of Hell Part 3 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
He did. Like, Andy Ackland was a big time producer. He did The Darkness, one of their records. So he was like a big name. We had him for 2 months in a studio. So we made this like opus of a record that was everything we ever wanted to do all in one. And once we were finished, they couldn't sell the album to anyone, because they wanted all this money. They wanted to recoup all their money and make money off of us.
Oh, Judas Priest.
And then the people that owned this production company were all junked out too on heroin. They were just like really loaded. So it was bad news. We were stuck for a whole year waiting to get that record out and get the rights back. They finally were like, "We're sorry, here's your record, but But at that point, we had lost like 3 band members because it's like, how long can you wait without an album to kind of tour on? So,
what was the name of that record?
It's the production company.
Well, the name of that album.
Luck is the one Pete has. The Keepsake of Luck is
that one.
It's that one.
So so where does Silver Sprocket come in, or not come in?
Well, they do come in. They were a label that I was friends with, that I've known for years through the punk scene, and he released my solo album when I was waiting to get that record back.
Yeah,
I had a solo record called Street Performance.
Okay,
which he released that. So I was like, okay, let's just have you release this Rebels album as well. So he said, yeah, let's do it, and we released it on there, but at that point, we had been away for a full year before that came out. So it kind of killed any momentum we had, really.
Well, and just to put a cap on my research, what is Springman Records?
They're the same thing. Springman and Silver Sprocket are the same. They just had a different name for different bands that were on the
not
label.
A problem. Columbia, Epic, all those kind of things like that. Very cool. Okay, so then what's the last record that you guys have put out?
Well, after the Keepsake record, we pretty much had lost. We did a tour and then lost all the band members because at that point we didn't have an angle of where we were going to go. Okay.
Well, I was going to say, let me stop you right there then. I've got a list of the members. So tell me about these guys. Andrew Paley.
He was a guitar player on the Playing to Live record, the second album we did, and he went on to be in a band called the Static Age.
Okay.
That he still does now, kind of a, I don't know, new wave kind of electronic rock band.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I love new wave.
Yeah, Static Age is good. It's kind of like Cure-ish, Depeche Mode, a little bit of that.
Interesting. Yeah, one of my favorite new wave, there's some punk elements to it too, was Nelson. Bill Nelson's Red Noise. You ever heard that?
No.
Oh, dude, it's a fantastic record. He was with the Bebop Deluxe, and then he left the Bebop Deluxe and did a bunch of solo work. And one of the albums he did was in '79, and it was a project called Red Noise, and it's brilliant, front to back. It's one of the best new wave records I ever heard, and I'm a Devo fan, so I
love that. I mean, I love those kind of hidden gems where they're out there, but
yeah. So I'll have to definitely check them out. That's
you
cool.
do have a few hidden gems in your collection, don't you, Dan?
Yeah, I do.
A few CDs, a few albums, maybe.
I do. I got some.
Yeah. How many CDs do you have? I got an estimate for us?
Oh, I don't know, 1,000 maybe.
Yeah, it'd be in the thousands now, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, CDs?
Just CDs. Yeah, I got them.
Yeah, I've got it. I've probably. Somebody once told me, they go, you know what you need, because you have so many CDs. Because when everybody talks like that, they talk like that. It's very effeminate. You have so many CDs that you should get one of those 200 CD holder players. You should get that. And I'm like, no. Oh well, why not? Because that's made for somebody with 1 to 200 CDs who puts them all in. How do I know what 200 CDs to put in? And how do I know where it is?
No.
No, that's not right. That's not. Now, here you go. Are you ready? It's getting started. There you go. Thanks, Papa.
Dan has no idea what it's talking about.
Oh, man.
That's the running gag on here. They always try to put these verses. So and so or so and so. And B. Arthur tends to come up a lot, like Andre the Giant or B. Arthur. And it's kind of 50-50 is which way it would go.
I mean, B. Arthur's got a pretty
look at it. B. Arthur. Her initials are B.A. I'm saying, that's just it.
Badass.
That's right. There you go.
I don't think you understand. My original name was Badass, and they changed it to B. Arthur because it was a better acting name. Tell me about Brandon Raynor.
He was the only other member that was in it from pretty much the start on every record we've recorded so far. You know, he was every step of the way playing originally trombone, and then he morphed over to playing keyboard and harmonica.
Okay.
So he was my right-hand man really on a lot of this stuff. So, but he, wanted to have his, start a family and everything. So he kind of bailed out a few years ago when he started doing that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, but he's great.
What about Chris Juegoski?
Juegoski? He's our bass player for the first 4 records, and awesome musician, and a good friend. He lives only 30 minutes away from me, and I do see him from time to time. But
cool. Well,
being in a band like
we bass players we're pretty cuddly. You got to hang out with us. I mean, that's just you can never get rid of us because you can't do without us. Well,
Chris wasn't even a bass player to begin with. He was a guitar player and a drummer, really. But we needed a bass player, so he was like, "I'll do it. I'll learn it." And he played just about anything.
Yeah, and it helps that he played drums and did guitar because he's got the rhythm down and you got that going on.
Yeah, great musician, good person too.
That's fantastic. How about Dan McCool?
Dan McCool was the trumpet player on the first album.
Cool.
He's the lead singer on the second album.
Oh, okay.
And he's very into politics. He's written books.
Wow.
Yeah, he's still making music, and another good guy too. But he lives in Massachusetts, so we don't see each other very often.
Yeah. What about Eric Schmidt?
Eric Schmidt was actually, I went to high school with him. We were buddies. We played on the same, basketball team in 7th, 8th grade and freshman year. And he was the only drummer really in school that was kind of like, hey, I like punk rock.
Are any of these guys you're talking about, and I just don't know, in this picture that we have down there?
No.
What year is this picture from?
2007 or so.
Yeah, that would 2007. Yeah, Brandon Raynor on the far left with the bowler cap on with a beard.
Oh, okay.
That's Brandon.
Cool. So that was what I was going to wonder is if you went to school with any of these guys.
Yeah, the drummer Eric Schmidt was the only one, and he's on the first 4 albums, but unfortunately, I had to give him the boot because he didn't want to kind of progress as a musician when we really wanted to do more, and he just was like, nah.
Interesting. And last on my list is Jake Williams.
Jake Williams, we called him Jake Rock. He was our sax player on the second album, Playing to Live. He was only in the band for 7-8 months, but
oh wow,
great player, a really good dude, and it just once again, it's hard to keep people around, especially when there's not a lot of money involved.
Yeah, no, I know. It's tough building a band too. I mean, I'm in the midst of that right now. I've got people who drop out. People, you get them in, they're like, yeah, cool, and then a couple of weeks go by, they can't make a rehearsal, and then they're like, I don't really have time to do that. My last guy holds the record though. Real good guy, real good musician, and he was a man about it. You know what I'm talking about? There's people that break up on a text. You're like, you don't break up on a text. Women don't like it, and bands don't like it. So he calls me on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I just don't. He goes, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. He goes, I thought I was looking for something else, and I'm like, that's cool. And he's like, okay, cool. And there was a little silence, and he goes, and I said, okay, man. Well, I guess that's probably about it. And he goes, yeah, that's cool. He goes, all right. I said, well, I'll talk to you later. Okay. So within 45 seconds, he'd quit the band, and we were done. I was like, okay, perfect. You were a man. You gave me a call. Now we're done. That's it.
45 seconds, done.
No big deal. 45 seconds later, we got it all worked out. We got it
Dan,
all worked out. So
I know it sort of fell by the wayside the last little bit. I don't want to break it too much, but as far as the you tried to bring it back. You did bring it back. You got a new version of the River City Rebels formed in the last couple of years. And of course, you haven't been able to tour or do anything with it since in a long time, right? Were any of the original ones from it when you redid it? And where is that sort of standing? Because I know that it's COVID that sort of put it on hiatus. You were going really well with it, were you?
Yeah, no, that we were all set to go into the studio. Studio time was booked. I mean, we were like a month out when the whole COVID thing hit. So it's a bummer. We had rehearsed for a full year, writing songs once again, and getting together every other week, and we were ready to do it, and it just obviously isn't happening now until this whole thing clears up, because two of our members, if they got it, are pretty much at high risk.
Oh, gotcha.
And two of the members that are in RCR now are past members that have played, that were in the band at one point.
Okay. What?
Patty Bow.
Patty Bow. Yeah. And of course, you had Cody playing with you, right?
Yep. Cody's also playing with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else was in the new version of the River City Rebels?
JV McDonough.
Okay.
She was in the last version of RCR before we took the time off, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. And you may not have seen this stuff. Like if you were doing some research on it, Stu, I'm thinking you may not have seen this stuff that's happened over the last year or two.
Yeah, no, that's where I'll get caught up. There'll be a time when we can get caught up. I can catch up. I like to deal with what you're doing now. I don't really love to go through too much history, but this is all new to me, to Jeff learning, and I would assume a certain number of people, which is why I'm going to change course here in a second. But let me ask you this: what are some of the punk bands that stick out in your mind over the years? I mean, there's the obvious ones, and I'm eager to know if those hit your list.
I mean, I don't know if we're talking modern punk bands, if we're talking about all time. It's
like when you were growing up, and when it hit you that you're like, I want to do a punk band.
I mean, obviously the Green Day explosion was the band that kind of blew open the doors, because from there you went backwards and you started checking out what else was going on, and then the next step was Rancid, which changed everything. That opened up another door. So all of a sudden you go from Rancid to the Bouncing Souls to the US Bombs to obviously Bad Religion, and then you have all the classic stuff, the Black Flags of the world, the Clashes, the Sex Pistols, the Damned. So you have all that stuff, and then whatever contemporary artists that we were friends with and making music at the same time with, bands like Worthless United, Madcap, stuff like that.
I'm eager to find out if some of the things you're telling me about now. Punk is a thing that it's not the style that it's not my go-to. I'm a metalhead normally, but I like Barry Manilow. And I just realized the other day that Manilow is in an AC/DC lyric.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On Highway to Hell. If I'm hearing it right and I've got it right, it's on Highway to Hell. They mention Manilow. But it's not my go-to. But if you ever make it to the St. Louis area, I know exactly. You tell me if you ever make it to St. Louis, I know exactly where I'm going to take you. Because this can even lead us. I can let some of this go for Hammer Away later, but this leads me to a pinball bar here in St. Louis. I got a buddy named Steve Dockraden. He and I used to work together at St. Louis Music, and he was our artist relations guy. And so he knows everybody. But what's his favorite? He's from Australia originally. And what's his favorite kind of music? Punk. And his dream was to own a pinball bar and have a jukebox that played only punk. So that's what he has. And I flipped out when I went down there. One of my first times to visit. And sure enough, there was a band. Have you ever heard of the Angels from Australia?
Yeah.
And when they were released here in 80, I kept thinking it was 82, but maybe it was 82. They were called Angel City here in the States because of the Angels, the old
with the Z.
Well, it was a female singing group called the Angels, and so they couldn't do it. Look at this. He's pulling a Papa Pete.
There you go. He's got a bigger spectrum than I'll tell you that right now.
He's doing an extended Papa Pete.
Oh, right there.
Papa Pete's usually like, I'll reach back. Well, there's Angel. Yes, there is Angel. And if I could get to my pictures, I'd run over there. I've gotten to be friends with Frank Domino from Angel and met up with Punky a couple of times.
I love Angel.
I love Angel. And that album you just showed right there, that's White Hot. That is a brilliant record. On Earth as It Is in Heaven all those old albums were great. The biggest unfortunate thing about those guys in those early days was some of the production wasn't.
Yeah, the production's a little stale, but
it's
the
like,
live stuff, if you can find the footage, is always really cool.
Yeah. And I have I hung out with okay, I'll save that for later. That's me shit, and we don't need to do that right now. But so then when did this Rebel Gaming Club happen? Do you have that, Pete? Can you pull that back up for me again?
Sure, you hold on here.
We'll put that on the side here while he's. Tell us a little bit about the Rebel Gaming Club. You can go out there. They've got a show. It's YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe.
Rebel Gaming Club was an outlet for me because at the time I started it back in 2016. I pretty much my life I was a massive drunk. Like after the band kind of dissolved in 2013.
Yeah.
For the 4 years, I drank constantly. I was super overweight, just destructing myself essentially. And
I was going to say, why do you think that happened? Did you think that just was missing what you had and where you thought you were going, or what?
No, I felt like I had failed big time. I put all of my eggs in this basket of trying to make the River City Rebels something and to, sustainable. And it never was really. But so it was me trying to figure out who I was without that band. If I was just, all right, I'm just Dan now. I don't have that band anymore. So who am I? And Rebel Gaming Club was this way to kind of have an outlet back into something creative. And also there was all these little channels that were popping up too that I was inspired by. So you'd see these channels and it reminded me of like when you were in a punk band, there'd be other bands in all these different towns.
Yeah.
So you'd make friends with them. And that's how you would get your shows, is by making friends to network. And it was the same idea with all these small YouTube channels. Everyone's just networking. So that kind of punk attitude and aesthetic and the way you DIY it was all very connected. I felt connected to it, at least right away.
That's pretty cool. Here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show let's go back to that, the opening. Yeah. Here we go. Here's the opening.
All right. It's coming.
That's what she said. Now, is this in your house?
Yeah, that's right in the basement here.
And that's your brother Ryan with you?
Yep.
Right? Brother Ryan?
Are you the younger brother or the older brother?
I'm the older brother by 12 years.
12 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And then here's some footage of you guys on stage. So let me go ahead and hit me. Yeah, give me a mute on that, and then tell me about how you got this all going.
Well, I just I knew that the Rebel Gaming Club would never be a big enough channel to actually get invited to any of these conventions because it just wasn't going to happen. But what I did know was that I could create some music and a kind of a culture and a movement that would allow us a way in and get free passes essentially. So
I
I
love
did
it.
for free passes was to make these, make an album on video games and just have a, crew up like this.
I love it. So now, how many songs do you have written for this group?
I think there's like a total of 12 songs. So we pretty much, if we performed, it would be like all 12 songs, and the album had 10 songs, and we printed 100 copies of it, and that's kind of the end of that. That's pretty much how it went.
And all those are gone. I can't get one of those.
You can still. I think I still have like 20 copies of it.
Okay.
I kind of stopped pushing it once the initial front kind of fell off.
Yeah. Now, and then where is this? Where is this?
Oaks, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
At Too Many Games convention.
Now, have you guys ever met up with? Have you ever met with? Oh, come on, the Proto-Men?
No, but I am familiar with them, but no. That's the problem with this scene with music is that everyone takes it real serious.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously we don't take it all that serious at all. So that kind of hurts us. We're not, we don't cover video game songs. I don't believe in that shit because I think it's corny and kind of wasteful. There's no.
But you know about the Proto-Men.
Yes.
I'll answer your question in a second, George.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what they did with their 2 Mega Man albums I thought those were brilliant. Those were really good. And then, of course, they did a cover album of Queen stuff, which was amazing. But I'm just always thinking about, what the community is like for that. I mean, I would love to write some songs that are based on video games, and I was just thinking, I mean, that would be something cool where you could team up and, go to the convention. And we're talking about a bunch of us in this community are talking about getting together and meeting up at the show next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. There was an excuse to really just get everyone together and just try to be creative and do something different that wasn't out there.
Gotcha.
And, I think we achieved that, which was cool, but we really didn't get the invites back after the first performances.
Let's go. That's from down there too. Just before that went on.
Yep.
Right.
So then, and then who all was in? There's a lot of guys in that group.
Yeah. It's 2 of those guys, the bass player and guitar player, are now in the River City Rebels.
Oh, very cool.
And then, it's my brother. We also, my brother-in-law, Jordan, is the other one fronting it. And then we have Yesai Asha on the far right there with the long curly hair.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So are you guys continuing to write stuff for that? Are you still?
I mean, there's talks about trying to write a new record so we can maybe try to get invited again to some of these conventions when they happen. Yeah. So I think we might do that, but
okay.
It's so much work that the payoff is very, very little on that whole deal, which is fine. Yeah. But once you do it once, you kind of like, all right, I've done that. I don't know if I need to go back there again.
Yeah, it's a thing where you and maybe your brother and maybe one other are really into doing that show stuff and getting tickets and being cool, but then you're trying to get a whole band in on that,
It's tough because most of them aren't into the same
correct
stuff. They really don't give a shit about it.
You're like, so I get a ticket to a game okay. Do I get lunch? You're buying me lunch at least?
Oh, hell no. And they got to pay their own gas.
That's right. Their own food. It all works,
So no. Okay. Pizza? No pizza.
No, so it's going to cost them probably $50.
You see, I had that happen. We were going to do a gig with a new band of mine, and we were going to go play a gig where Quiet Riot was going to play. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to go because I want to play the same gig as Quiet Riot, who ended up leaving the show. So they weren't even in the show. But Janet Gardner, because I'm a Vixen fan, Janet Gardner was still going to be there. And we opened up the day that she headlined that day. But our drummer quit. And I'm like, okay, you do know you leave me in a little bit of a lurch, because now I got to find a drummer who doesn't mind driving 2.5 hours north to play a free gig.
Oh, it's so frustrating. It always happens that way too.
Yeah.
The worst time.
But I'll tell you what, the good Lord sent me a drummer. It was my drummer that played with me at church. And he's like, yeah, man, I could do that. That's cool. I'm like, dude, I love you, man.
You lucked out there big time.
And he's a great drummer. He is a great drummer. So and not only is he a great drummer, he brought 3 GoPro cameras to set up and video the whole thing.
Oh, win-win right there.
No matter how embarrassed I might have been about it.
That's how we ended up with that concert, right? We had 5 different people that set up cameras and had cameras moved around to record that concert. So I got hold of all that footage, put it all together, and it's kind of neat to have that, I'm sure, like 45 minutes. I really enjoyed putting it together. And I was really happy it turned out. So
yeah, no, it was an amazing job you did with that. I can't imagine going through all that footage.
But it's just a matter of finding the right way to do it. And like I say, put it all together. And to tell you the truth, I just overlaid it and matched the time up, and then pick stuff out, like took stuff away, as opposed to trying to put stuff in. And that was the secret right there.
Oh, wow.
That was your video David that you sculpted.
There you go. So Connor comes by it honestly, right?
I got a big rock. I'm going to take all this crap out, and I get a guy with a dick. Boom. There you go. Well, that's what the show is normally. It's Jeff and a guy who's a dick. So that's what Go Game Go.
That's a good combo,
Not always here, Stu.
I loved this one. Did you see this? This is a quick question. And I love the British spelling, the European spelling. That's fantastic. Favorite. Yeah, that's something I'd have to think on. I tell you what, I will do that for Hammer Away. I will have my 26 favorite Def Leppard songs, and I will ask these 2 gentlemen to send me theirs, and we'll get that answer on Hammer Away. We'll do that because I love Def Leppard. I'm a big fan, except after Hysteria. But,
yeah, that's everyone drops off after that.
I mean, that was just mommy. Oh my God. And I've got a friend of mine, Wayward Sons is a big favorite band of mine now, and I've gotten to know those guys and went on a 4-show tour, a bit of their tour last February, a year ago, basically, and hung out with those guys. And he knows Joe really well, and I'm like, why don't they just put out a good record? And he's like, because nobody's going to push it. It doesn't help to just write and put out something like you used to do, because nobody's going to push it anyway. And I'm like, yeah, but better to try to hit.
But if it's really good, it would be really good, and people would know it's really good, and it would be back. But the thing is, there's magic that happens, and sometimes that shelf life in a lot of cases it's pretty small. You get lucky if you can get 2 or 3 good albums out of your career that you can stand behind. Really.
Do you? So here's my question. Do you believe in luck? Do you believe that those things happen, that they're because of luck? I don't believe in luck. I'm Irish and I don't believe in luck.
It's not luck. It's whatever you put, whatever position that you put yourself in is going to produce that music. So the thing is, that's why it's easy when you're down and out, you're struggling, shit's not going right. You're inspired by something you've learned about, something brand new in your life. Right. It's easy to kind of capture that moment. But after you've lived a while, there's not a whole lot of new shit to write about. It makes it really difficult. And then you're not going to rewrite what you've already written It just it's all real cheap, and then you get the AC/DC effect, which how many times can you rewrite the same thing before it kind of loses its oomph?
Right. I felt that way for a while now with those guys. Of course, Ball Breaker I didn't really think was groundbreaking. Black Ice was okay. This new one though has some things. I'll tell you what.
Songs on that new one that I'm like, wow, this is different for them. Even in that's inspiring to hear. But the problem is the other songs on there, I'm like, I could do without.
Right. I hear you. And now, one band that I really, and I don't know who's done all the writing. I'm assuming it's the regular guys did the writing. Is Judas Priest put out Firepower, and I thought that was a really good record front to back. And oddly enough, I think that Rob Halford did a few new things vocally that he's never done. And I mean, that's my band. So
I haven't heard that, so I can't comment on that. But
if you have an urge to want to hear it, check it out, because I think it's really good. There's some little things, kind of like Bruce Dickinson did some different things when he reappeared in Iron Maiden, and they did Dance of Death. There was a few things on there that was a little bit different. Now, I do want to get back to the games though. It's my understanding that you have quite a collection of GameCube.
Yeah, I have a complete set of GameCube games.
Complete set, which means what?
It just means I have every game that they released in North America.
Good Lord. How long did that take you to get?
About 3-4 years, maybe.
Okay. Because here's my other question that I've not asked you yet. How young are you?
42.
42. Okay. So you, so you were a teenager. You were in high school, late high school, right? When the GameCube came out? Or in college?
No, I mean, I was already I was touring when the GameCube came out.
Okay. Were you into it when it came out?
My friends had it. I didn't at that point. Like, video games had a small role. I had a PS2 and a Dreamcast that we'd bring on the road with us to play, but that was about it. It was all music, really.
And what was the first video games you ever got into?
Obviously everything on the NES I really enjoyed. Baseball Stars. I love simulated sports games. I love stats. I love numbers. The standards really on the NES is what got me hooked.
Did you ever check out TurboGrafx at all?
No, never had the chance for anything odd and weird. I just didn't have any friends that had it, so it wasn't
right.
We were poor growing up, really, really poor. There's 5 brothers, single mom, so that wasn't happening.
Wow. Should we give your mom a big round of applause or what?
Could. She's not with us anymore, but
well, yeah, neither is mine.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
impressive.
Mm-hmm.
What a woman.
Yeah.
Holy cow. How did she deal with that? What was there? Okay, so my mom only had 3 boys, and my dad was there when we were growing up. My parents didn't split until I was older and married. But her favorite thing was she'd get, because, we're boys. We run around the house, half the time probably in our underwear, whatever, because you don't care. You're in the house, just whatever. You're getting ready for this or that. You've been outside, you're changing clothes, whatever. But you walk around the house at least shirtless most of the time, right? And man, you do something wrong and you hear that, right in the back. God, I had to have a tattoo. I'm surprised I have a tattoo of my mom's hand on my back because, she'd get you.
Woo. I mean, we pretty much ruled the house, so it wasn't. She was outnumbered. There was no chance.
It was
way too many of us. What's up?
Are you the oldest? Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I am the oldest.
I mean, I only know you and Ryan, and
Ryan's the youngest.
Ryan's the youngest. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We babies are quite quite a breed, man. We we go through a lot of hell too. But did you have to wrangle your brothers?
No, it
No?
was like it was chaos. Like sleeping wherever the fuck you want. Like we kind of had bedrooms, but like they would just sleep on the fucking couch, on the floor. It didn't like anything went. It was chaos.
Well, she was trying to work and put food on the table, so you guys were on your own a lot of the time.
No, she didn't work. I mean, we were super poor. It was welfare, It was like government cheese. It was, it was a sad thing, really. But I mean, we didn't know any different, so we kind of
right. Yeah, it's like anybody when they get cast into something that they don't choose. You can't.
You don't know any different, really, other than every other family you saw was really normal, and ours was like, no,
those O'Day boys. Oh my God.
Oh, we were all troublemakers. So it was, getting arrested and fighting and just all that shit.
They belong on Letterkenny.
Yeah. True.
God, how's that treasure trail? I had one quick question too. There was, I was looking up. There was a Daniel O'Day who was in a refinery industry in the early 1900s. Are you any? I mean, they were out there in the out east as well. Do you have any ancestors that were a part of that?
Not that I know of. I mean, I'm the third Daniel O'Day in my line. I'm a junior. My dad, his father was also the same name, just a different middle name.
Interesting, because I think in that case there was a Daniel, and then there was another. The father was Daniel, and then the son that was doing took over the refinery thing, and then they got in with Standard Oil. So I don't know. It's just one of those things.
I'm guessing no, because my dad's side of the family is a bunch of fuck ups too. So I don't. There's no way.
Maybe they were just the car that derailed.
Oh God, no. That fucking side of the family's fucked. It's real bad too.
Oh shoot. Oh man. So like I was saying with video games. Did you so how did you get not having the GameCube when it was coming out, being over aware of it, what turned you on to it?
Well, it was probably back in 2014, 15. I got the GameCube. We had one when we lived in Tacoma, Washington, when the band did back in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
We had it, and I fell in love with it because all the party games, the Mario Karts, the Mario parties, having a lot of people, always around, it was the system to play if you wanted to have a party, essentially.
Gotcha.
So that's what got me hooked, and just the way it looks, anyways. I think it's just a beautiful.
It is.
The graphics, everything about it, in the controller, I love.
I was just gonna say the controller. I loved it.
Yeah, everything about it. That's why I decided that was the system. I was like, yeah, if I'm gonna collect a whole system worth of stuff.
Well, I was excited to hear that. One of the reasons I was excited to hear is the first thing I do is I talk to the man, the Wavebird.
There it is.
Love the Wavebird, man. That was a brilliant piece of technology right there for video games, man.
At the time, huh?
At the time, it was a game changer. You're like, wait a minute, I can do that, and then you're like, wait a minute, so I can actually get lazy and kind of hold the controller down here, and it still picks up the signal. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's awesome.
Because before you're like, wait, he's not moving. The Kleenex box is in your way. Oh, damn it. So, to have a Wavebird that's like with a signal that's like, and just like a genie and just going wherever it wants to go. You're like, shit, I can play from over here. I can play from, give me that case of Kleenex. Put the Kleenex down in front. Fuck yeah, I can play in behind the Kleenex.
There it is.
That's a brilliant freaking game right there.
That's probably my favorite game of all time, really. That probably
I'm
is.
not sure if this isn't the one that I bought from you a couple years ago. Do you remember that, Dan?
I do remember that.
Do you remember the story behind it?
You bought it for Connor, right?
I don't think this is the one. I think he actually ended up with that, but it was about 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, we're talking about Mike had comments in there about all the cats we have around here. Connor was still in high school, and he had his copy of Mario Kart Double Dash, and it was sitting on his bed, the 2-disc edition he had, which this isn't. And yeah, the cat shit on the case anyway. Yeah, there was no salvaging it either.
See,
So,
George,
George. He had one on his next pickup video. I said, hey, he says right on there, I'm going to trade this one off. I'm going to sell it to try to get something else. So I messaged him right up, said, I'll take that one.
Yeah, that was a good time.
I got to get a new one for him.
Oh, George saved me right there. Look at that. See, I told you, nobody's playing Manilow.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So we had the GameCube, and that's one of the systems that has not stayed here in our house because we went on a trip to Florida with the kids, and we stayed in a condo, and we bought it for Logan for his Christmas present, and he took it with him, and when it came time, he goes, I'm taking the GameCube with me because you guys kind of got that for me for Christmas. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I got the Wii. I can play my games in the Wii, So here's one question I do have to ask you. It's a little selfish. If you don't mind, I'm going to get a little selfish right now. Can I? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you get selfish. Yeah.
I want to know, okay, here's how the story went. And everybody might want to get a box of tissue. So I was working in a warehouse, and we had videos. Mainly it was books. It was for thrift books that's on the internet, right? So we were one of the warehouses. They have a warehouse here. And I was working there, and you could get whatever you could pick up whatever you wanted. You just had to let them know what you were taking from the stock, right? So then one day I walked back by the garbage bins because they had bins of stuff that you could look through before they went into the system. So they have out in the garbage is a Jim Gaffigan DVD and Luigi's Mansion in the garbage. So I pick it up. I pick them both up. I'm like, I'm a dumpster diver. I'm not proud. And I played it and I really liked it. But a lot of times I just don't have the time to go through all these games, right? So at the time I let my son take it with him. He's like, I want to check that out. I'm like, cool. So he checks it out. Well, then he says to me, hey, Dad, there's this guy who's getting into these GameCube games. And do you mind if I sell him some? And I'm like, well, that's cool. And I guess the Luigi's Mansion went. And then I forgot because it wasn't here. And then I was like, hey, you got that Luigi's Mansion? Because I just got 3 for the Switch. And he's like, well, we sold that one, Dad. I'm like, son of a. So my selfishness comes in where I go, hey, do you have an extra copy of that one at all? Or know an easy way to get one?
I don't. The thing with the GameCube now is that it's dried up. I mean, you can get lucky, like maybe once or twice a year, you'll find a couple games, but
Yeah.
you're not finding any of those. I mean, years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I would come across that game at least twice a year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an extra copy of that, and I don't remember when.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, just in general, you just don't come across those games.
Well, because I was thinking that I'd seen one not too long ago. Well, you know what? Now, Dan, that's on my list. So in being an enthusiast, if you do bump into it,
Oh, of course, of course.
Keep me in mind.
I would, I would snag that would be snagged right up, and even if I had it or not, and obviously,
Right.
hold on to it
Right.
until someone's in need of a copy for.
Was that relatively easy for you to find when you were getting your collection together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't all these games for the most part. Maybe there was a small handful that I had to like make some major trade, and I got lucky. Like someone kind of knew the cause and was like, "Listen, I know this game's worth $200. I'm going to trade it to you because I know it means something."
That's pretty sweet.
It was sweet. It was a couple of those moments that otherwise there's no way I would have gotten the whole set without a little bit of help like that.
Right. Well, like here's somebody on Amazon that's selling one, and it's $55.
You're not going to find it lower. You might get lucky and find a copy for $45 if you're really searching. $40 maybe.
And that's what I was thinking, like 40 maybe. But
you'd have to be all over.
That was a few months back, so God knows now it's probably not gonna. I'm not gonna find it.
Everyone knows what they have. There's just a ton of resellers that just do it to line their pockets to pay bills.
Yeah.
So it's near impossible, and it kind of hurts. It makes me angry, and that's why. I mean, I'm glad I got most of the game stuff that I want out of the way, so I don't. When I go out thrifting or hunting for it, I don't get disappointed anymore because I'm like, I'm just used to this now. This is how it is.
Right. Right. Now look at that. George is saying he wants the double driver feature to come back.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that part.
Me too.
And well, let's ask this then. What did you think of Mario Kart for the Wii?
Mario Kart Wii was the biggest pile of trash I've ever played. Easily. Just the biggest letdown. I remember getting that day one and just being like, this isn't the experience that I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the thing that was driving me bananas was that, and I don't know how they program, I've no idea how programming works. All I know is that the Wii Mario Kart left you no way to get back in the lead. If you fell behind, it's like they didn't even care. I don't care. It's like a shitty boss. Well, that's your fault. That's your problem. You got behind, and you're like, well, wait a minute.
That wasn't
you can't even give me anything to get back up in the lead. And you're like, hell no, son.
The stupid controls on that game just ruined it. Ruined it. Motion control. It just doesn't feel right. Drifting doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Nothing about it.
I was disgusted with that game. I was done. I'm like, why aren't I doing better? I'm doing fine. I'm driving well, but I still can't catch up. And it's giving me nothing to catch up. It gives you everything to get trounced, but nothing to catch up.
Yeah, no, it's not a great game by any means, especially coming off of Double Dash, which was a near perfect game.
Were you a big fan of Diddy Kong Racing?
I'm not. I'm not actually. I've played it a handful of times, and I'm like, it doesn't do anything for me.
Interesting. So now you guys do a lot of. Now I haven't watched a lot of them. That's why Jeff is my aficionado on videos and on all the research on a lot of the videos. But I did watch some of your videos to get ready for tonight, and you're writing the videos, the storylines, the scripts for how many videos have you done now that are dramatized?
Oh, probably 120, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeff actually asked me before. Jeff was watching your channel and my channel long before I ever met Jeff, and I think he saw me off of your channel, whatever like that, and started. So he had been watching you a long time because he said to me one day after we sort of got to know each other, he says, "How are you ever involved with the Rebel Gaming Club anyway?" And I told him the whole story about Connor and stuff, right? 64-bit, and how it all sort of came together, which was pretty neat, really. But anyway, yeah, it's too bad, Jeff. That's why maybe someday we'll come back and Jeff will be here, and because he has a lot of history with watching your videos and stuff. It's really awesome, Dan.
Yeah. There is so much history there, and it's tough to even sum it up, what it is, how it is. It's just this fucking random show weekly that somehow connects and ties. It's like its own world in my basement that revolves around these characters. That is pretty much us, but it's not. I don't know.
And do you tend to? Is there? Once I get into this, I will know. But I'm just learning right now because I used to watch Speed Racer when I was younger, but I never really realized what a serial it is. And so is that way you do your videos? Is there a natural order to everything, or are they pretty random? Do you just come up with a script and it's just another episode?
I mean, there's callbacks to episodes prior. There's characters. If you don't know that character, when they pop in again, you don't have any reference points. So it might get a little confusing.
So it is a serial in a sense.
Anybody watch the Rebel Gaming Clubs, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So what? So do you write all of them yourself? Do you write all the dialogues and all the what? Or do we work together?
Have a general idea of where the plot should go and how it should happen, and we just improvise it, and then the skits are just one or two of us kind of producing and having the other person act like an idiot and trying to get some gold out of it, really. And it tends to work all right.
And you get more gold than you get tin.
Yeah. I don't know how. But I mean, if it makes me laugh, I'm like, all right, we just did pretty good right there, I think.
Right. Now, how many do you do multiple takes a lot of the time, or do you just leave it as is? And do you try to not do editing?
Oh, it's edited, but it's all in one take for the most part. We just run it. We used to do it, and early on we'd do multiple takes if it didn't turn out right. But after a while, it was just let it happen. If I got to edit the thing out or change some certain things, I'll figure out 20 ways to jump cut it, and it all kind of works, even if it doesn't.
Yeah.
What do you use to do your films? What kind of camera do you use?
A GoPro and iMovie.
An iMovie.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. I love iMovie. I was just talking about that the other day, where I was like, that's the one thing I can't stand about updates and upgrades. When I learned, I got pretty good with iMovie, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's an update for my computer. I'll go ahead and do that. Blip, blip, bloop, and blingity, bling, bling, and you got a new freaking iMovie. I'm like, what the hell? And it's got multiple screens. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm a simple guy. Keep me my simple iMovie again. I don't need all these windows. Well, now you can do this. And look at this, Stu. You can make this go over here. And you're like, I don't give a fuck. I was doing great before. Leave it alone.
Every time they've added stuff to it, I've enjoyed. I've learned, how to get the stuff I want out of it. And I think that's an amazing thing too, where it's like 4 years ago, I had no clue how to edit. And now I can pretty much edit, in 30 minutes and be done with it and get the effect that I want out of it.
Yeah.
It's a cool skill to have, I think.
Totally.
With a kid, you put them through school to learn how to edit and make films and such like that. Of course, we paid for Adobe for him while he was in school, and now that he's done and working on his own, he pays for it for us. So when I'm trying to learn how to do something, I can call him right up and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. How do I do it in Adobe anyway? He could just pick up the phone and go, screw off, Google it, and hang up on me.
Little fucker.
I fed you. I had a roof over your head, you twit.
Try checking Google.
Yeah.
Dan, are you surprised?
No, God, no. That's pretty much what I was expecting that you were gonna say.
Yeah.
What did you just say, Pete?
I just asked Dan if he was surprised.
Oh, are you surprised?
Yeah, because I shouldn't vilify him that much, but it's kind of funny. Jesus, can't you check? Because it's like anything else. Like, it's the truth. I mean, you learn how to do something, it becomes very instinctual for you to do it. It's much, much more difficult to explain it to somebody and have them to do it than to just do it yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's more along the lines, but it's so funny. Before you ask me, just Google it for Pete's sake. You'll probably figure it out. And it'll save us both a lot of frustration. But anyway.
Now, how much? What? How do I want to ask this? With your videos that you do now, you switch off, right? You have like a video that's a part of your kind of the drama scene, and like what's the word? A storyline.
There's the plot points that we like to hit, but then it's broken up with thrifting finds.
Sweet.
That's the way we segment pretty much, and we go from thrifting finds to auxiliary shots that we have our other team members like Papa Pete or Yesay Asha or Mosley or whoever wants to be part of it that week. They'll send their bit in, so we throw that in there and kind of weave it all together.
Cool.
So it's this random just show and tell, essentially, with a little bit of plot, some music, humor, and just creating this illusion of these friends that all hang in this basement.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, really.
Do you send it? What kind of format do you send them? Do you send them an MP4, or is that what you do, or what do you send, Pete?
Oh yeah, when I do it up, I just do an MP4 on and put it on Dropbox, right? Is that what it is?
Send it on Dropbox, yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. Dropbox. I used to just upload it and have them captured like on YouTube, but that's not as good as just using Dropbox. Download the file, then he's got the file to use, right? So
yeah, well, I was just because I'm thinking of our millions of viewers out there. I mean, somebody might go, dude, I'd like to throw down on that, and so once they check out the channel,
but we always sort of find things out ahead. Like I give Dan what he asked for, right? I mean, if Dan wants something, he comes and says, "Hey, do this for me." Sure, love it. That's great. And when it might be 6 months, but then all of a sudden, do this for a while. Okay, let's do it. And maybe it works, and we keep doing it. Maybe it doesn't work, and we stop.
Right.
It's been tough, I think, with the whole virus thing. Is that before that there was some sort of flow that we had going, and cast members kind of come and go with whatever the work schedules are. So things evolve and change, and then we got to kind of evolve and change. And then sometimes I get in a rut where it's just me talking to a camera because I'm out of ideas, and I don't want to burden someone to send me a clip in when I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing.
I'll bring up some pictures of some of the guys. Okay, I think this is not the one I want, but there's the first one. Maybe you want to bring that picture up down the bottom. Yeah, that's just us together. That's at Too Many Games that weekend. That's the only time that I've ever a couple years that I've met you guys in person, Dan. Really?
Yeah.
And Yesay, and it's the only time you've met Yesay in person, is it not? No. You did Hartford again too.
Yesay came to New York. He was going to perform with us, but he got too drunk, and then ended up getting sick and driving home before we played.
That's good. Just turn that off a second. I'll find the other ones I was going to tell you, because there's lots of different guys have been in it, and I got a little clip here that I can find.
Then where are you located?
Me or Pete?
Yeah, well, Pete, he's somewhere in Canada.
I'm some Canadiana guy.
I'm sorry, Canada. That's where the Canadians are from.
Yeah, right.
I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
I've always wanted to go up to that part of the country. I was just thinking someday when, like we said, let's go back to when all this shit is over, we need to do a road trip, and we need to be in one of your shows, one of your episodes. We need to come in and we need to infiltrate your house. We need to steal your Luigi's mansion. We need to. That could be our deal. You got to steal the Luigi's mansion.
Hey, we're always looking for good thieves, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. You want to know how I got that picture up on the screen, Pete?
No. Yes.
I bumped my keyboard. I was readjusting my stance here on my desk, and I bumped the keyboard, and it came up. I'm like, "What did I?"
I was in the right spot. So tell who the guys are, Dan. This is an old picture. What year is this picture from?
That's from like the very, very first, like that would have been 2006, 2017, 2016.
I was going to say, yeah, probably.
First started up because the guy with the mask is my buddy Doug, who had just moved to the area, and just wanted to help us out.
Yeah.
So, and obviously on the far right's Jordan and my brother.
Jordan and Ryan, of course. But I always kind of thought that was AAA.
What about no? That's my buddy Doug. That's Little Rock Tomahawk.
I had no idea. Honest to God, I thought that was AAA.
It's a lot bigger.
Speaking of, I had no idea.
And he was a guy. He's a roadie. He was a roadie for RCR.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, right on. Okay.
Now you know how Speed Racer feels, because he didn't know, that was his brother.
So here's a different era as well after some of the other guys were sort of gone for a while. Nick did a lot of shows with you.
Nick did. Me and Nick were holding it down for I don't know, months, I guess. Yeah, we had some
years so. It's too bad. Nick Sage, Stu is
cool.
How do you know Nick? I don't even really know that. I mean, I have him on my friends with him, chat with him once in a while, but I really don't know how you know him.
He worked at GameStop years before the channel, and I knew him that way, and he was a local collector, so we'd buy and sell and trade and stuff like that. So I talked to him a little bit through there, and we had common interest in some games, and I just asked him one day if he wanted to be part of it and help me out, and because we're like nerdy, but like we're not that kind of nerdy. Yeah. Like he's on a different level of nerdness. So I think it'd be a good balance to bring him in to kind of like connect with some of the people that might, feel the way he does.
Well, Nick, I tell you, the board games, unbelievable, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate now that he does a lot of the live streaming stuff. It makes it near impossible to kind of like get him like locked down in kind of the groove again.
Do you say the live streaming stuff? I don't do Twitch, but he and Jordan had started something, and they're not doing that anymore, are they? Or are they just doing it all on Twitch?
That thing, I think it's just happening on Twitch now, and I'm just so torn about people streaming video games. I get there's some value there, but I'm gonna play the fucking video game. If I'm gonna sit there and watch, I'm just gonna go play it. I don't need to watch someone else play it. There's my problem.
It's kind of weird because I've heard other people say that to me. Why would you want to watch anybody play a video game? Just play it yourself. I kind of like some of the games that I used to play when I was a kid. To watch somebody who's really good at it, I enjoy watching it. I really do. It's like sort of weird. Do I want to sit down and watch somebody play the newest PlayStation 4 game? Probably not. But
right,
especially the retro games, anyway.
Well, like I truly should take some time and look for somebody who played Maximum Carnage, because I got to a certain part in that game and I just could not follow. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it went bad. It went south. I don't know. Have you ever wanted to do video game music at all?
No.
Or have you ever been approached about doing some music for that?
I mean, we have songs in like Amped 2 on the Xbox, and we also on Far Cry 5 we have a song in there too. So
wow,
we've had a little bit of luck having a couple songs. I'll take it. That's
well, you had an offer tonight from George Games. He makes games, and he's interested in always looking for people to make music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what about this guy?
That's Mosley right there. That's Mo.
for a long time on your channel, has he not? Like longer than I've been around. He's your next door neighbor Mosley.
Yeah, my next door my next door neighbor. He does all the movie reviews and does used to do a lot of the game stuff too, but
yeah,
he's been busy with life lately too, so not as easy for him.
It's funny because like a little kayfabe here from the wrestling genre. He's the next door neighbor Mosley in the Rebel Gaming Club, and he lives in Washington State, right?
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people believed he was my neighbor for years.
Right.
Oh man.
I don't know if I got any more on here or not. I got to check one more. Okay, we got the Rebel Gaming Club one. Puppets, that's about it. Of course, hey, if anybody hasn't checked out my community minute on Dan, check out my channel. It's there.
Now, what is with those puppets? What's with the puppets?
Oh,
you showed me that
yeah.
multiple times, and I'm like, what in the hell's going on there with the cell phone and puppets?
It's a skit to start one of your episodes, as it did.
Yeah.
Yes, we should start the show.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, we should start the show.
There we go. Yeah.
Is that the gentleman who played the? Am I wrong or right? Is that the gentleman who played the lawyer in your show you did a couple of weeks ago?
No.
Okay,
that was not him.
No, but he did the that Yesay is the guy who did the he was the narrator, like.
Yeah, was he in the bed?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yesay had long hair, and he's also in the concert video. You saw in the concert video. He was singing. I'm gonna just this is just one of the episodes here, but I'm gonna switch it over.
So it looks like you got plenty of vinyl too.
Yeah, I got a ton of vinyl as well. Probably 400 or 500 records or so.
Yeah, same here. I probably got same. Yeah. I got to get I have a turntable. I got to get checked out and make sure it's all good to go. And I had a friend of mine recently picked up a couple vinyl of Keel albums for me because Ron Keel's a good buddy of mine, and I was like, oh, he's like, they're in great condition. And there's a funny story on that. I don't think Ron's ever going to watch this, but he got them at an antique mall. And so when I told Ron that he got them for me, I said he got them at a collector's store, a collectible store. I wasn't going to say my buddy picked up a couple of your albums at an antique mall. So Ron never watched this show. So what are some of the big, just real quick, I'll get back to the music for a minute and then we could probably wrap it up here in a bit. What were some of the bands you guys toured with that you were like, holy crap?
We toured with the Dead Kennedys when they got back together.
Wow, impressive.
Voodoo Glow Skulls, Less Than Jake, played with Velvet Revolver.
Wow.
Let's see who else.
And then where did that touring happen that you were, let's just say the Velvet Revolver stuff?
That was in New Jersey.
New Jersey, cool.
Yep.
I got a good friend of mine lives in Jersey from a Jersey metal, progressive metal band called Symphony X. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't, but I think we come from like there's that common middle thing music wise that we both enjoy, and then I go to the opposite side, you go to the opposite side where we normally live.
Right.
Like I could tell that, but we
Right.
definitely meet in the middle with the AC/DCs and the Motorheads, I'm sure.
Right. My wife used to come home from work and, oh, somebody new started today. I said, oh, really? And she goes, yeah, they like metal too. So I told them you guys need to talk. And do you ever watch Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember Rick always asks 3 questions of new people when he meets them, right? And so I would do that with 2 questions. I say, okay, no. Hold on. You go tomorrow and you look at them and you say, do you like Megadeth? And if they say yes, say, do you like Slayer? I say, because if they say yes to Megadeth, we might have something to talk about. But then ask them, do you like Slayer? And if they say yes, we probably don't have much to talk about. If they say no, then we're good to go.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's truth there, and that's if you say metal, you can't just
No.
To me, it's metal is probably different from what you think of metal. It's just, all these different movements. I like more of the black metal stuff. I like Cradle of Filth. I like the stuff that's grimy and just disgusting.
Do you like the Cookie Monster vocal stuff?
I'm not huge on that myself. Like Uncle Apps and the Deadbeats. I kind of like the sludge doom metal stuff as well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I like melodic Swedish kind of,
Yes.
Metal. What's that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
At
Nightwish.
Not so much. More like At the Gates and
okay, yeah.
Stuff like that. In Flames.
In Flames. Okay, cool.
Thinking about metal or whatever like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of that is kind of it's prog metal. It's prog metal, symphonic metal. It's some of these kind of things. Like I've checked out a few bands where the music starts and I'm like, this is beautiful, awesome, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And the way I describe that, and I want everybody, of all the millions of people watching tonight, I want everybody to know that it's not that I down that style. If that's what you like, that's what you like. I know a lot of people don't like what I like, and that's fine if that's what you like. But we all have an opinion and we all have an analogy for things that we don't get, right? If we don't get olives, we have an analogy about olives, and I don't know why I don't like olives. It's like this, whatever it is. But when it comes to that kind of presentation of vocals, to me, it's like he's working on the Mona Lisa, right? La 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 la, and he gets to the face, and he's like, I'm kind of tired of dealing with this thing. I'm so done with this painting. And he goes, do you want to finish this painting? And the guy next to him goes, sure. And all he's got is a box of crayons. That's how I feel about that. Because these guys do all this orchestration, all this beautiful guitar work, all this beautiful music building, and then they put a guy on top going, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, what did you just do? Do you know how wonderful your music is? I just
I don't know. Once again, sometimes but when the vocals are like that, the music kind of stands out. Like that's where your focus is on the melody that the music is producing and the aggression. So in some cases, those vocals do apply even better than some of the oversing stuff. Because a lot of metal bands, I'm like, God, these vocals are so clean. There's just no soul to it because they're trying to hit every single note perfect. Yeah. Every word is just on, and I'm like, it kind of kills the vibe on some of those.
Well, that's why I would love for you to listen to Symphony X, because Russell Allen is one of the best vocalists I have ever heard. He can do some beautiful stuff, but not beautiful like clean, pretty stuff. He just does soulful, beautiful music. Like Glenn Hughes is like that. Glenn Hughes can do whatever.
I
Glenn Hughes can make a best of record that you can have sex to, and at the same time,
I have so many people that love him, and I can't do him.
You can't do it, really.
I can't do it.
So what is it?
It's just too clean. It's like Bad Company. It's like I can't.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I cannot do that.
So it's not necessarily too clean. It's too smooth.
It is maybe too smooth, too good. Where I hear someone like Ian Hunter or Mark Bolan, and I'm like, that's to me, or even Ozzy or Rob Halford. Even I'm like, there's something there. That's
an edge.
There's an edge. It's something really, really different that gets it going for me. Where it blends in with the music. It doesn't stand on top of the music. It blends in.
Then I do challenge you to do two things. Then
yes,
challenge you to do two things. Listen to Symphony X, number one. Everything's out on YouTube. You can just check it out. So I was just listening to the new Mythology, their 5th record, but they've got other ones that are fantastic. But I'll tell you what, do yourself a favor and start with the Odyssey. Just go straight for the Odyssey. Just like Camelot. I'd love for you to hear Camelot and just see what you think. But that's not where I want you to really. Symphony X is the main thing. Russell Allen is just amazing. But start with the Odyssey. Then when it comes to Priest, how much Priest have you listened to?
I mean, probably, like the big 3 or 4 records, Turbo.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. So do yourself a favor and go back in the archives and go to Sad Wings of Destiny and listen to Epitaph. And then go to Hellbent for Leather and listen to Before the Dawn.
I mean, if it's not hot rocking with the guys in the gym, I don't know.
That's totally the album where you go later on. You're like, Rob Halford's gay. You're like, yeah, you didn't even have to tell me that.
I love it. I love it.
Heading out to the highway, you replace a beautiful woman with a handkerchief with Rob Halford.
Oh,
so you're like,
good.
I think I get it.
Yeah.
I think I get it. I get it. You're gay, which I didn't. That's what I didn't like about their Behind the Music, because it was way too much about Rob Halford. I always say, and again, I don't have anything. I'm not homophobic. It's not the point. The point is I want to know about the band. I want to know about the tours. That's what Behind the Music is. It's the music. I don't care who you're sleeping with. I want to hear about the music. So I thought they should have just called it How Gay is Rob Halford and a little band called Judas Priest.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
They dive in, too deep on that when you do.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't care. All you got to do is start the show going, one thing you may not know about Judas Priest, Rob Halford's gay. You're like, huh, okay. That's okay. And then move on and tell me about Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Don't call it Judas Priest Behind the Music and go, well, he was gay and he was gay and he was gay and he was gay and he was gay. And here's Rob talking about how he was gay and he was gay. And there's some Judas Priest stuff. And Rob Halford was gay. I don't know if you've heard that. And so I didn't understand it.
That stuff sells, That's
I guess, but whatever. So what's next for your show? What's next for your music?
As soon as the pandemic's over, we're gonna go into the studio and cut a new album and start playing shows again. And
how many tracks do you have ready for that?
There's 11, 12 tracks. It's we're gonna.
Do you feel good about the time that you've had to be able to prepare the songs, though?
Yeah, we had a whole year before it got shut down, so we were ready to go. All the stuff is demoed. We're ready to do it. Right. So it's as good as it's gonna get, and I'm sure once the time is right, we'll hop right in.
Right.
Make that happen, which will be fun. And Rebel Gaming Club, we're just gonna. I'm feeling good about it. We got the crew back together. We got kind of a short-term goal of producing some more good episodes, just trying to supplement big episodes with collection videos and just little things to buy me some time to feel inspired, every other week. So it's working out so far.
Has it been hard to stay motivated? It's been hard to stay motivated. It's just so many changes, so many things in the world sort of making it difficult, correct?
It's not even that. It's just that everyone's attitude has to be on point. And the problem is I work with my brother. I work with Jordan. So we're around each other all the time. And it's hard to not take things personal when you're doing jobs together. And then you come home and you're supposed to do this show together, and the commitment level maybe isn't quite the same, and they don't get the vision, or, there's a million things that could change, and it makes it frustrating during the week. So it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. I'm getting better at just trying to take it for what it is and letting it.
It's fair though. It's fair. It's reasonable. It's. But you guys have a great chemistry together, the three of you. You really do.
Yeah, that is the problem. You pull one of us out of the equation, it doesn't have the same pop that it normally does, which I know that, but at the same time, I can't let that stop me from producing something.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's like tonight.
You are the leader of the Rebel Gaming Club. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I mean, everybody has their part. Everybody has their contributions to make, and at the end of the day, I guess you should know you could go out there alone. You're the only person who could go out there alone and make a Rebel Gaming Club episode. And if nobody else was seen, it would be a Rebel Gaming Club episode. But without you, it doesn't exist. So, yeah. I mean, you've really done amazing things over the last couple years, 5 years. Putting these things together, and thank you for that, because thank you for letting me be a little part of it that I am, and for the other guys, my God, right across the freaking country, both countries, right?
Oh well, I appreciate that. The goal is still, it's bigger than what it's. I still want it to be more than what it is, and I just we'll get
strive. That's what makes it even better. That attitude is what makes it even better. That's why you are who you are. Yeah, because you always want to make it better, right? So
I think there's more options out there, and we can't be the only oddballs in this community.
Hey, you say oddballs in the community, to hell with that. I mean, listen, when you go to a friggin' convention, everybody wants to meet you and Yesay and the boys. Yeah,
no. We're the outcasts there. We're like the fucking like.
Outcast in what regard? Outcast by the friggin' anyway.
But we are though. They look at us and they're like, "No, you guys are bullshit. You're posing."
What you're saying, Pete, is everybody there wants to meet them in the alley behind the building.
No, they're the only. He says we're the outcasts. You're a poser. They're the only friggin' genuine people there, and not only, but compared to some who think they're the genuine ones.
Well, and I mean, creativity is just like that. If you're downing something, it's only because you're not doing it, and it's just not your style. And if you think that it needs downing, then who the hell are you anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, it's creativity. Not everybody's going to get it, and not everybody's going to be into it, but somebody. You're heading for 2,000 subscriptions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
somebody's liking it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we're like this fucking cult thing, like under a rock, down by the bridge. But
how's the Kool-Aid?
The people that do find it, there's that core that's great, and I always appreciate that stuff, and that makes it even more special. That it can be special to this small group, because the stuff I love is, I think I'm probably the only person that loves that. So it's. I get it. I
mean, these guys are still. They are who they are. They're not putting on a facade. They're doing what they love, and it sort of comes through. Not sort of comes through. It does come through.
Right.
And it's like what? Well, yeah, you look at an old guy like me, the old guy gamer, and yes, I got linked in through my kid, right?
And yes, you're still younger than me.
There you go. Yeah. But I mean, Jeff, the way that Jeff's not here, but Jeff asked me that day. He sort of looked at me like, "How did you get mixed up with the Rebel Gaming Club anyway?" Because it does fit. And when my skits are in there and I do something, it really doesn't kind of fit. Dan is different, but it's okay. It works. And
it fits. The attitude, you get the humor. Like that's the biggest thing, is that you understand the humor that we're trying to do, and if you get it, then you're part of it.
Because I tell you, I appreciate the genuinity, the genuineness of the whole thing.
You're going to say a bad word soon.
Yeah, well, I always do. The genuineness, because I appreciate it. Good bunch of guys, and then very happy to be doing a little bit with them to help them out, or they're helping me out. I'm not sure which.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right?
We're like this robot that comes together. I mean, we're all these pieces, and I just like that we're all linked and connected here. And our group of people, it it grows and grows, and we have cousins and of the show. It's all family though.
Yeah, exactly. The fam, right?
The fam.
The fam.
The fam of man.
You just can't. Sometimes you can't explain how come people click, right? How come groups come together and people click? Like, how the hell did I become mixed up with Go Game Go, or Go Gamego, as I prefer to call it? But it just sort of happened, right?
Yeah,
Just sort of happened. We met together on OEB Pete's channel, and just where it's gone to, we play games and do shows, and it's a lot of fun. So hey.
I mean, let me tell you, the miracle that has happened with this show is that Jeff, when I met him, was so quiet, and he's the reason that we know you, Pete. He's the reason now, Dan, we know you. He's also the reason that we know Tommy Tallarico. He's also the reason that we know Mike.
Mike Marlis. Yeah.
The quiet guy. He's the quiet guy who likes the knack.
Yeah.
And I like the knack. And so I
like the knack too.
Yeah.
I'll be telling that story. Keep your eye on that one on Hammer Away. I'm going to be discussing the night. There was a classic night of me and the Jeff Man going to Chicago to see the knack.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And who was the drummer?
Not tomorrow night, in the future, right?
What's that? No, not tomorrow night. Yeah, no. Yeah. No, it'll be a mini-sode. I'm going to have a bunch of mini-sodes because I'm going to be calling them a quick one because it's music and it's the Who, right? The Who had a quick one. So I'll be doing that. Beer. Yeah, beer. I'm doing what are you drinking now, Pete? I had to do a Guinness.
Boxing Rock Indigo Blueberry Sour.
Oh, look at you. You love sours?
Oh, yeah. They're great.
Sweet.
Last one of the night right here.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll probably end on this Guinness, I suppose. I don't know.
Oh, nothing better than Guinness, so.
I know, right? We had to do a perfect pour at 10 a.m. in the morning in Ireland when we went to visit.
Well,
so my daughter was going to quit band because she'd been doing it
in Dublin.
from middle school, and then she decides she gets to school, and the band leader in her senior year, when she's going to quit, says, "Oh, I thought I'd let you know before anybody was thinking about quitting. Our band trip this year is Ireland, and we're going to play in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin." She's like, "Oh, fuck." She was like, "All right, I'll stay." So we went to the Guinness Brewery and poured our perfect pint, went to a table, and my wife looked at me and said, "I'm not going to finish this." She loves it, but not at 10 a.m. in the morning. So I said, I walked out of that place a happy man. I'm like, killed my pint, killed her pint. I'm like, And then a couple hours later in the bus, I'm going, I really got to pee. Really got to pee. And it took a while. That was one of my moments where I had to pee the most. We all have those. Think about those, reflect on those, and then put those in the chat when we get back together next week. The worst time you had to pee. Think about it.
Yeah.
So
they have just open chats about every other week, Dan. And when it's an open chat, it's a dog's breakfast. Let me tell you that. You never know what we're going to talk about.
Well, I'm going to have to investigate. I saw the couples. I saw some of that episode.
See a little bit of that.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, there was some good awkwardness going on there, and I liked it. The wives were like,
"Yeah,
Do you like the name of Pete's sex tape?
I watched like the first 10, 15 minutes of it.
Show us the name of your sex tape. This is Pete's sex tape.
Toblerone.
But that's the follow-up. What's your original sex tape?
Oh, Christ, I don't remember. What was it?
Oh, shit. Come on. Are you serious with me right now? I'm starting to think you shouldn't have had the third beer.
I think I was drinking.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Are you a Star Wars fan, Dan?
I'm actually, as soon as this wraps up, I'm going to watch The Mandalorian season 2.
Have you finished it? The first time?
No, I'm watching it for the first time, season 2. I'm on episode 3, so
I'll tell you what, don't go anywhere. Me and Pete will act out the whole thing for you. You want to be Grogu or do you want me to be? No, we're
I
going to
get
do it,
Michael
right?
all of a sudden. Sorry.
We can do it. We'll do it. This will be great.
No,
You'll love it.
No spoilers. No
No,
spoilers.
no spoilers. No
You'll
spoilers.
love it, Dan. We do a great job. We've rehearsed this. It's perfect. We're good. No, but did you watch the last 2 Star Wars movies?
Yes.
Sorry, I have to do it, Pete. And thank you. And it's not like I'm not doing that to Pete because Pete has a childlike love of Star Wars.
He does, which is fine. But I thought Rogue One, I cried. It was so good.
Yeah,
it was brilliant,
perfect. But everything else that it's Star Wars related in the last 15 years, 20 years, I don't give a shit. It sucks. It's
horrible. The one thing I told Pete one night when we were talking about it, I said, dude, it's fine. If you love it, I get it. You have that childlike love. I wish sometimes I could have, but I think about movies and I don't even think about them as hard as other people either sometimes. But I look at camera angles and I look at all these different things that I'm like, that could have been done a little better. Like the new Jumanji movies, the first new Jumanji movie, I was like, really? That's okay. Because you had me, and then you took that camera angle, and I'm like, I probably would have done this. But the one thing I did talk to Pete about that night when he told me he loved that movie. I was like, okay, I get it. You have a childlike love of Star Wars, but just do me a favor and please admit to me that last movie that I didn't even watch and Last Jedi are shit. You can like them. That's okay.
Yeah,
but
no, nothing wrong with liking them. I mean, I watched them and it was watchable.
I didn't watch the last one. I boycotted it.
It's fine. It just doesn't match it. There's a standard there that's really high and you can't, it's hard to even come close to those standards now.
Right. Well, especially when they're changing the stories.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't enough, but most new movies are like that. I just can't fall in love with them anymore. It just isn't there.
It's like when Frozen came out and I didn't like Frozen. Everybody's like, how you not like Frozen? Oh my God, you not like Frozen. And I'm like, well, no. Why couldn't Frozen have had a storybook opener just like Beauty and the Beast? I'm like, they're like, well, it's a kid's movie. So, okay. So your child is stupid. No, they're not so stupid. That's mean. You're like, okay, that's what you're telling me. Your children are stupid and they don't get it. So why make it right? I'm like, they did it in Beauty and the Beast. Make another one that's right. How about that? There's a brilliant idea. Because your children aren't stupid and you still have to watch it. Because I said, have you seen Frozen? Okay.
Me neither.
So my son was like, well, Frozen 2 was pretty good. So I'm like, so I was like, okay, I get it. But Frozen only really works when you have 1 and 2 and you have them put together because there's answers in the second movie, not in the first movie.
I gotcha.
So you know what I'm saying? That's where you're like, eh. I'm like, no, I get it. That's fine. But it's only good if you see them both. You know, that's going outside the box now. But anyway. Well, so where are you going to be recording this new album?
There's a studio that's probably an hour and 15 minutes north of me that we've booked a weekend and we're going to do it in a weekend, which
wow.
I'm excited. It brings it back to like early days of making music where you book a 3-day stint at a studio and just knock it out. So
have you seen the movie Once with Glenn Hansard?
I don't think so.
Do yourself a favor. Check that out. It's less than an hour and a half. It's a beautiful film. And the storyline is really cool. And there's a scene about recording and it's a quick time recording. It's quick. They have, they don't spend a bunch of time doing the recording. They have only enough money to do a certain amount, but it's Once is the name of the film. They made a Broadway play about it too. But there's a great storyline behind it. After you see it, I'll talk to you about that. But well, what we have to do is we got to figure out when you can be back on. We can talk more about games. I'd love to have you on Hammer Away. We can talk more music. I appreciate the millions of everybody out there who are like, is this a video game thing or is this a music thing? So, and everybody who joined in the chat, Pete, thank you. I love you, man, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's you're coming in tonight and helping me with the videos and stuff and the photos. Dan, I really appreciate you hanging with us tonight and coming out and enjoying the environment that is Go Game Go, or in Pete's mind, Go Gamego.
Go Gamego.
And but you know, it's great. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate talking about music, man. I love it. I love it, and I'm looking forward to doing more on my own too as well. So we'll let you guys go. I'll let you guys go. We'll get this thing over with, and Jeff will watch it and go, "Why the hell wasn't I there to fix this whole thing?" No, this has been a lot of fun. I've had a blast. So thanks for everybody in the chat, and subscribe if you haven't. All the millions of folks watching out there, subscribe. We're hit over the 200. We're pretty happy about that. We're pretty psyched. So tomorrow night, I will tell you about mine in a minute. Pete, what's happening for you?
I don't know. I've got a few videos coming out over the next few weeks, few days. I'm working on them. Then behind, the big thing is hopefully next week, next Tuesday night, we'll have Wrestling Video Games and Retro Adventures, the premiere episode with me and Jeff from Go Game Go, Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern.
I'm eager to chime in on some Rise of Skywalker on
that. we're going to talk about a little bit of everything, but one thing we're going to talk about a lot in a real casual way is old-time wrestling, because I don't know about you guys, but I love wrestling from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I don't care for it as much today as back then, the cartoonishness of it, and we're delayed a week, but that's okay. So maybe next week we'll be talking about WrestleMania 4. And as far as my channel goes, some pickup videos coming in 125. So
Sweet.
How about you tomorrow night? What's the big event tomorrow night, Stu?
Me? Well, before I say anything, Dan, what do you get? You got what coming up?
There's a video tonight. Rebel Gaming Club Worst Pickup Season 3 Episode 2 is now up. Every Wednesday at 6 o'clock, there's a new video. There has been for the last 5 years. And I don't plan on changing that anytime soon.
Awesome.
Now, how do you differentiate your seasons? Does it happen at every year, or is a new season, or what is it?
No, it's whenever I feel like changing the season.
Which there was no seasons, and then who decided to make
my
the
brother
season
Ryan's a fucking idiot and decided to start relaunching with seasons, and then it got confusing, and I didn't know where we were. So. Yeah,
this is a rejuvenation 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
season 3, right?
Season 3. It's new, fresh.
Absolutely.
You say those words about him in such a loving way.
Yeah, it's ironic. He's my boss at work too. So.
No, where do you guys work together?
We work at a restaurant. He's the kitchen manager. I'm just a prep cook.
Wow, what kind of restaurant is it?
It's like I don't want to say, it's like an Applebee's that's not an Applebee's. It's on a college campus, Dartmouth College. It's a big restaurant. We do big numbers. It's very successful. So it's cool that he's the kitchen manager now.
Sweet.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
He's my fucking boss.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that when it comes right down to living life, you're going to tell them exactly what to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to wrap up here.
Rightfully so, in both ways.
Well, you can tell them hi for yourself if you want.
Oh. Good night. I was coming to say good night.
That's my wife, Christine. It's Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
So and there's our dog.
Yeah, she follows me. She's my shadow.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, then I'll see you in a minute.
Well, no, I'll be asleep.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
No, you
Watch me.
Instantly.
watch me.
Challenge
She's kind of
accepted.
creepy
Yep,
like
she's
that.
out.
She's creepy. I'm gonna be sleeping. You just watch me. Wait, that's not what she meant. I don't think. But no, tomorrow night I'm really, really, really excited because I think I'm finally getting this stuff down. So tomorrow we got Tommy Tallarico is going to come in and we're going to just be talking music. It'll dabble a little bit in video games because of the fact that there's a huge, part of his life that's been video game music. So, but yeah, we're just going to be talking music, and I got tons of questions, tons of fun. And I think we might even have a giveaway, I think. So,
Ooh. There you go.
yeah. So make sure you're watching and check it out. I mean, I miss Jeff immensely. Thanks for chiming. I'm glad he got to chime in tonight. Again, just taking care of some stuff he's got with the family. So we're always thinking about him. And but I do appreciate you both and everybody in the chat for making this an awesome show tonight. So hey, is this it, Pete? Is this where we do it? We're going to do it together in person.
Go.
Game.
Gone.
Have a good one, folks. We'll see you next week, and I'll see you tomorrow on Hammer Away. Thanks again, Dan.
Take care.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys.
Appreciate it.
Oh, he dropped right.